Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to another exciting design tutorial with UXmate. In this video, we are going to learn how to create a good user experience for your websites and landing pages. I generally heard from a lot of beginner designers where they always stuck with how to get started with design or how to draw the first line on the canvas, right? Because most of the time they create a blank canvas and keep watching it or keep staring it, and then they don't know where to get started with, what should we have in the design, and how to move further in your design journey, right? So generally what we should be doing is, right, let's break down how a landing page should be, or what are the different sections it should have, and then it will help you to get started with, and it will help you to use your time wisely and be always concise and to the point while designing the websites, right? So let's jump into the tutorial. Well, before getting started with it, make sure you have already hit that red subscribe button and hit the bell icon next to it. If you're not doing it, then you are going to miss a lot of exciting content. Okay, so let's jump into the Figma file. As always, we have some some templates or some basic structure for you. It is just to save the time. Yep. So when we get started with the landing page, generally we should be having clear navigation bar at the top, which can talk about your brand, and then menu bar, or basically the clear navigation is always important factor in a good experience design. Because if you don't know, or if you don't see the doors to enter a good looking bungalow, or a mansion, and if there is no door, then definitely it is not useful, because users don't know how to get into it, or how to enter in that mansion or that home. Because okay, if you don't have if you don't have clear navigation, users are going to go away without even entering the mansion, right? So next thing, generally we should be having a hero image, and or we can say not image, but we can say a hero section, which basically is your primary section. Because whenever user is visiting our website, on the first fold, before even performing any interaction, where the interaction cost is almost near to zero, not the zero, but yeah, almost near to zero, where user haven't performed any interactions yet, he is seeing your hero image, or your hero section, where you should be having a high quality relatable image, which basically offers which basically talk about your offerings or services which you are going to provide in this website, right? So generally your hero section should have a heading, or you can say headline as well. It should be concise and compelling to the user. It should be short and simple to get started with, and then you can have a subheading which provides basically some extra information about your heading. Then the next thing on your hero image, or on your hero section, should be the CTA, the primary CTA. I have seen a lot of designers where they have primary and secondary CTA side by side, or they give multiple options for the CTAs. But generally I prefer not to have multiple CTAs on the same section, because it basically gives a lot of options to the user, and it may result negative as well. Because if you have multiple options, you may get confused and you will not choose any one of these. So always try to have one single action in each section. If you want to have a primary or a secondary CTS, then definitely you should be having them, but not in the single section, right? So if you want to show the primary and secondary buttons in the first fold itself, then probably you may use your navigation bar to show your secondary CTAs somewhere on the top right corner, or just before the menu, or somewhere here where which is kind of far away from your primary CTA. So in a way you are showing both CTAs on the same section or on the same fold, but they are relatively far enough, which is basically taking away the confusion which user may have. Okay, then let's go down and let's talk about the next section. So next section, generally should have your USP, which is again, like, you can call it as unique selling perspective, or unique selling point, or propositions, or you may call it however you want. But basically, you need to figure out what are the unique selling factors of your product or your website, or your what services which you are going to provide. So you should be having a brief subheading, and a image also, or sometimes it is also a good option to have bullets rather than having the entire paragraph. Or sometimes it depends, the context and the relativity of your content, or the subject or the services. Should we have image only, should we have images plus paragraph, or should we have bullets only, right? Or you can have images and bullets side by side. So it depends definitely on your service which you want to highlight. But this section should cover your primary services, or the features, or your primary products which you want to sell, or your primary benefits which you feel is your USP. And then you should be having a CTA in that section as well, because we should not be putting a lot of primary, like in every section. We shouldn't be having a primary CTA, but at least we should be having, until and unless user is at least registering with those CTAs, right? So we have a primary CTA in our first section, and then we have a primary CTA in our second section, right? The next section should talk about the benefits, or features which you are going to give to your user. This will talk about the value which you as a business adding to the users or your customers, right? It could be with icons, with images, with infographics, or some images and some headings, or subheadings with the images. So there could be different ways to design this section, but generally it should have 3 to 4 points, or 3 to 4 columns which talks about your core benefits, or the features of your product or the application which you are designing, right? Generally it gives them an idea, okay, why how and why this product will help me as a to achieve my goals, or whatever it could be, right? Then to basically give the proof kind of thing, we should be having a section just next to the benefits, right? So we have our benefits, and then social proofs which talk about, okay, how those benefits are really helping other users around the internet, right? Which basically gives, or which basically helps to create a trust, by having the testimonials, or the social proof, or the ratings just next to the benefits, or features section, because that will create a link between those two sections, and it may help us to convert the user from just like the inquiry phase to the sales, or sales could be, it is not always a monetary benefit, but yeah, basically you have a benefit, and then you have a social proof which talks about these benefits or features, how those are helping to the actual users, right? You may use real photos and names to authenticate that, okay, the social proofs, or the testimonials which you have given here are not fake, or are not something auto generated, or what we can say is like those are not imaginary personas, those are real people around the world, and you can go and find them, okay, with the photos and the names, which basically helps them to recognize them. Also, we may if we don't have social proofs, we may think of highlighting any awards or recognitions, or which or your product or services have received. It basically helps to gain the trust, right? Then we can have next section where we can talk about the additional information, right? So far, if you see, we have started with clear navigation. Then we talked about the primary, the primary benefit or the primary thing which our service is doing, and the primary action button, which could be sales or inquiry, or it depends, how do you want to convert the or how your conversion mechanism is designed. So basically you have primary CTA, then you have USPs, and then you have again primary CTA, which is again helping you to convert this user from just inquiry to a sales phase, right? Then you have benefits or the features of the product. Then we given the proofs, okay, how these benefits or features are helping out to the other peoples, and you could be the next, right? Then we are giving some additional context, context to the user, which basically helps them to determine, okay, how this service is going to help me, right? It could be more details about your product, more details about your service. It could be FAQs or any other thing, right? Then we can have the secondary CTA. Okay, why should we have secondary CTA? Because it is not always that, okay, user is coming to your website and he will always click on the primary CTA, because he might have just visited accidentally, he might have just visited from an advertisement, he might have visited just by a reference of a friend or someone, but he is just coming here to have a look at your website, okay, what you are doing, what services you are providing. Those may not be relevant at that particular time. So we can think of having the secondary CTAs, which basically helps us to, okay, if user is not clicking on the primary CTA, then at least he should be clicking on the secondary CTA, which again helps us to gain some data pointers or get some more information about the user, where we can try to pitch them, where we feel, okay, this user can be a good, we can turn this user from the inquiry to the sales the sales the sales spectrum. Then you should be having the secondary buttons to basically get additional informations about the user, or to have additional actions which user can perform, right? Then we should be having contact information in the next section, which basically talks about how user can reach out to you. It could be your social media accounts, it could be a contact form, the way you want user to contact to you. It could be your phone numbers, whatever, it depends from the business to business, or it depends on the different businesses may have different choices how they want user to contact them, right? So basically we should be having a clear contact information, which again helps us to gain the trust of the user. Okay, if there is any problem, you can reach out to our support team or our contact team, where they get a point of contact how to reach to the business, right? Then next thing is basically the closing argument. We can definitely have more sections, but generally I feel we shouldn't be having a lot of clutter on the first page itself, right? So the way we started with the most relevant and the primary information, then we move ahead to talk about the benefits or the USP. Then we further discussed about, okay, what are the features or the benefits our product or service is going to give to the user. Then we talked about the social proofs, okay, how it is helping others. Then we talked about then we talked about the contact information, clear contact information, and then the closing argument, or the closing statement, which basically summarize the key benefits, or why user should visit or why user should take the primary action, right? And then our primary CTA, because it is, if you feel this, it is kind of a story which we are telling from the first section to the last section, and we want to narrate the story in a way where user is coming to your website just as an inquiry, and then with the entire story, by going through each and every section of your landing page, they are basically interested in your product, or at least they should be interested in your product. And that is a job of UX designer. It is not something a salesperson is doing. Salesperson's job is to get the audience, or to get the people on your landing page. Once a user is landed on your landing page, then your job is to give them what they are looking for, why they are coming on your website, and by reaching till the footer, they should be at least make their mind to hit primary or the CTA or the secondary CTA on your website, right? And then the footer information, which the footer section, which may have additional links, the copyright information, and all those standard footer stuff you can include there, your social media handles and all those things. Yes, so I don't feel I should be talking more about footer because it is a kind of common thing. But yes, I hope guys you have understood how to get started with a website design, how to get started with a landing page design, what should be the different sections and why should be those sections added to your website, what type of content those sections should have, and how you can get a user from the inquiry phase to the sales phase, right? I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you found this informative. Make sure you if you have any doubts, definitely reach out to us with the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and share this within your network. It helps us to grow. It helps us to spread this knowledge in a wider audience, right? So yes, till then, keep learning, keep designing. Have a good day.